Today on Paint a Beautiful Picture, we're going to talk about freedom in the family. This is episode number 263. Have you ever felt boxed in? I mean, less than free, really stuck? Stuck in an awful job, boxed in a relationship where you really do care about that person and they are important to you, but there are so many things in that relationship that aren't what they need to be, and you feel like you need to get out, but you just have no idea how you can. And so you just kind of feel locked down, and it's a terrible, bad feeling. Have you ever been in a place, maybe a job, because I have been, where you just, all you want to do every day is get out of there? You don't want to be there. It's not doing good things. You question the value of your own life anymore because this is, let's face it, 40 hours of your week consumed with something that's not really going very well. All of these are pictures of not being free. And I think we understand that. In the United States of America, we have so much freedom. We have freedom about what we're going to do when we grow up. Even as an adult, we have freedom to change our job. We have freedom about our education. We can apply to 20 different universities, and if three of them accept us, we get to choose where we're going to go. We have freedom about where we're going to bank. We have freedom about where we are going to shop, freedom about the kind of car that we're going to drive, the kind of clothing that we're going to wear. We're not stuck wearing a particular uniform or set of clothes unless you happen to be a cop or a fireman or uh, a nurse working in labor and delivery. But you understand my point. We have so much freedom. I'm talking about internal freedom, the freedom of our mind, and the freedom of our spirit, and the freedom of our soul to just be who we want to be and to be comfortable with that. Inside of your home, is there freedom in your family? My younger son is vastly unlike my elder son and I. He is quite a quiet man, and though he is very articulate and extremely capable, he he just has a much quieter approach to life than either David or I. He always said he felt like a foreigner. He didn't feel like he fit. He was pretty sure he didn't belong in our family. I have a sister who felt similarly in our family of origin. In your family, is everyone free just to be themselves? I can honestly tell you, I don't think I was ever free to be myself in my family. And honestly, I don't think I am now, even as an adult. And that has a lot to do with expectations and acceptance. And so in my family, if certain expectations aren't met, you're not going to be accepted. And of course, when no one accepts you and they expect you to be different and they want you to do this and they want you to do that, basically, they want you to become an oval and ram you down into a square hole. Yeah, it's never going to feel good and there is no freedom there. So within your family, is there freedom? Is there freedom to laugh? Is there freedom to cry? Is there freedom to express frustration and anger? Is there freedom to feel? Is there freedom to think and to think differently than you as a parent or differently than the siblings that one has? Is there freedom to be? To be very creative when everyone else is sort of, I don't want to use the word that's in my mind, but uh, steady. I'll use that word. When everyone else is pretty steady and things are just in a pattern and consistent, but you're very creative and you're one of your kids thinks creatively and does things creatively and nothing like anyone else. Is there freedom to be creative? Is there freedom to be different? Mom and dad, I really want you to know this one. Somewhere in most families, there is a child or an aunt or an uncle or a somebody who's a lot different than much of the rest of the family. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. They are only different. If one of those people is one of your children, I really pray that you will develop the capacity to allow them the freedom to be who they actually are. I'm not talking about something wrong, like, well, I was born to be a drug addict or I was born to be a pedophile. I'm not talking about aberrant behavior where they're just going to use it as an excuse and you won't give me the freedom to be myself and express myself. I'm not talking about that stuff. Don't attribute that to me and don't ever say Miss Violet said. No, no. I'm talking about to be a very creative soul in a very steady household, or to be a big talker in a household full of quiet introverts, or to be an introvert in a household full of big talkers, to be very adventuresome in a family where everyone else is a homebody and doesn't really care to go try all these wild and crazy adrenaline pumping things. But you have one of those who just can't hardly help it. That's who they are. Are the people in your family free to be themselves? And can you revel in and be celebratory about those differences? Because wow, it is the differences in the world that make life really fun and interesting. Let's be truthful. If you've lived in the Midwest your whole life and you either go to the Rocky Mountains or you go to the Pacific coast and look at those endless miles of ocean, that difference is pretty incredible. It's really beautiful. If you've lived in Alaska your whole life and you go visit Hawaii, and you experience those warm, beautiful, balmy breezes and witness all that amazing foliage and colorful flowers, those differences are absolutely lovable and enjoyable. Differences are part of the beauty of life. You need to allow that freedom to be and express oneself within your family unit. Teenagers often do it quite loudly and awkwardly, and sometimes with the rebellious spirit behind it. And they're going to get all up in your face about how wrong you are, and they have a right to fill in the blank, hang with their friends, go do this, whatever. Dress crazy, get 22 piercings, I want a tattoo, pick your poison. You have to make decisions as a mom and a dad, and preferably together, about how far you're going to let this go. I confess, I have a grandson. His ears are pierced, and he really drove his mom crazy for a couple of years about getting it done. Even now, I'm not exactly sure what that's about with him. I've asked him, and he just said, "Well, I just wanted to." It's like, okay, and he has pierced ears. It doesn't matter what I think. That's a fact. Maybe I need to repeat that. It does not matter what I think. He really wanted to do it. It's a means of self expression. There's nothing wrong with it. And he has pierced ears and he wears earrings all the time. Doesn't have as many earrings as I have, but he does have pierced ears. I have a son who has tattoos, which I do not have any of, and I am not in particularly fond of, I confess. And actually, he's still getting more. He has a couple and he's getting a couple more. They're not really evident, they're not huge, they're not gaudy, but he has them. That's what I'm talking about. That level of freedom of expression, of freedom of being, of a freedom to be different, it definitely exists. And both of them know that. I want you to really consider how well you do at allowing freedom in your family. Are people free to express their own thoughts and ideas? Are people free to be themselves? And do you have a level of acceptance and the capacity to celebrate the differences? This is a big thing because if someone isn't free in their family, often they're going to reject their family and they are going to have a lot of negative emotion wrapped around their family. So, in that very place where we should be safest and feel the best about ourselves, where we should be supported and loved, when that place isn't an accepting, beautiful place, we're probably going to leave and we're going to experience a lot of disappointment. I think that you probably want your home to be a place where There is joy and acceptance and beauty, and that begins at some level with allowing freedom in your family. I hope this has been helpful for you today. I will look forward to seeing you again soon on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.